Sony. The new Sony RX1R Mark III is undoubtedly a premium compact camera, but there are several reasons why it might be overpriced for what it offers and why users might be better off saving their money or opting for a more versatile and cheaper alternative. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Brandon. Welcome back to the channel. Yo, today we are talking about the new RX1R Mark III. First of all, if this is your first time here or you are a returning fan of the channel, remember to comment, like, and subscribe, man. Make sure you are engaged with our conversations. I love answering the questions. I love talking to you guys. I like seeing what you're talking about, man. But we only make this channel bigger and better when you guys get involved and we have a great time here. Ask me about anything photography and I will be sure to answer your questions. Leave them down in the comment section below. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Now, let's get to the video. First, let's have a conversation. All right. Everybody knows what a compact camera is, right? First, let's talk about that for a minute. Compact cameras. Compact camera users. Why would somebody buy or invest in a compact camera? Well, first of all, the portability and the convenience, right? Compact cameras are lightweight and easy to carry. It makes them ideal for like travel, street photography, or casual shooting without the bulk of having like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera with your lenses and things like that. Now, in that sentence, some of the words that stuck out to me are casual shooting. All right, we're gonna come back to that in a minute because we know what casual shooting is, right? That's what compact cameras were basically made for, right? Discreet shooting. I mean, they're small in size. They allow photographers to capture nice little candid moments without kind of like drawing attention to yourself with like a big bulky camera, something like that. Also, it's also useful for like street documentary or even just capturing casual event photography or shooting, right? Now, let's talk about casual shooting. Casual shooting is basically just, a hobbyist. I'm out here just doing my thing, just having fun with it, right? All right, what's another reason? I would say lower cost normally for a compact camera, right? Compared to our high-end interchangeable lens cameras, compact cameras are genuinely more affordable, making them like a budget-friendly option for hobbyists. Second camera, something that you can just, set up, right? Now, we can all agree that photography is a very expensive hobby, all right? It's one of those fields that you get into where you're gonna spend that money. Everything costs, from the bags to the batteries, every absolute thing, every cord, every cable, everything. And in order to really achieve those really nice, high quality images, you're gonna have to pay a little bit to get those type of cameras, to get those type of lenses, to get those, to get those shots that you want to, depending on what you do with it, right? Now, compact cameras are normally classified as budget-friendly options, right? It's kind of like leave the heavy lifting to the high-end, interchangeable lens cameras, right? The ones where we really get that work done, right? Kind of like my A7R V I got right here. But today that kind of turned around when Sony announced the new RX1R Mark III. Now, before we get into this, let's talk about the RX1R Mark III. Let's go through a few of the specs of it. Now, again, this is just me. It's just my opinion as a long-time Sony shooter, all right? I've used almost every camera by Sony. So, this is why I'm making this video. So, anyway, let's go through a few of these specs for the new RX1R Mark III, all right? So, first of all, the price, all right? Can't ignore that. No, it's not even $5,000. It's basically $5,100. $5,100. Let that sink in just a little bit, because this is going to be important when I really hit you upside the head with some of this other stuff that I'm about to tell you. $5,000, like $88, $89, but we're just going to say $5,100, all right? So some of the key features, all right? 61 megapixel full frame BSI sensor, all right? It has that nice Zeiss 35mm f2 lens in there, BIOS, XR, and AI processing unit, 693 phase detection points, real-time tracking, autofocus, 4K 30 10-bit, and you have your full HD 120 bit video, 2.36 millidots OLED EVF, 3-inch screen, 2.36 million dot LCD touchscreen. It has step crop modes, all right, so you can go from like 35, 50 to 70, you know, that's pretty, I think that's pretty cool. Got some creative looks in there, got a new little updated design, got a better battery, UHS slots, HDMI, mic ports, no headphone jack, all right. So just going over a few of those specs, key features, right? They sound pretty familiar, all right? I could not, Sony has this, and I think I made another video about this when I talked about this. Sony has this tendency to just recycle everything that they have and call it a new camera, and it's becoming redundant. It's becoming very, very old so fast. They do this over and over and over. And that's why I think a lot of Sony shooters are getting so sick and tired of Sony and their practices, because it reminds me of Samsung and Apple. And I think I made that comparison a long time ago, how Canon used to be like Apple. They would, you know, come out with a camera, change a few things, and then call it another camera. And then change a few things and then call it another camera. Well, who's doing that type of behavior now?
I think of Sony and Canon as like the Apple and Samsung of photography. So you got, I used to think of Sony as the Samsung, and I used to think of Canon as the Apple, because as you know, like Apple and Samsung, it's always, everybody was always talking about Apple and how they come out with 4, 5, and 6 different phones, and all their phones is just the same. They just change like a little bit and call it a new phone, while Samsung was, you know, doing their best to innovate and do things a little bit different. That's the way I thought of Canon and Sony. There was a time where I thought that Canon was coming out with pretty much the same thing, and Sony was doing a little bit of innovation. Now I think we have reached a point to where I feel that Sony is the Apple of photography, and Canon is now the Samsung.
Sony is just coming out with cameras, almost the same exact guts, and basically just calling in a new camera, all right? It's just, then they take a little bit from here, take a little bit from there, put it in that camera. Oh, we'll take that body, we'll take this sensor, you know, we'll take that processing unit, we'll put that in there, that's a new camera. And we'll do this, oh, that's a new camera. This is how they're using the Steve Jobs formula here to make more money, like iPhone, you know, take a little bit from this iPhone, put everything in there, give it a new camera, call that a new iPhone. We'll make this a little bit bigger, throw a better processor in there, a little bit better camera in there, we'll give you one color, oh, that's the new iPhone. It is the most egregious business practice that you could do, and it's so utterly just tiring. Let's break some things down why I think this camera is not worth it. Now, I know a lot of people is going to argue with this, especially the RX1 fanboys who've been a big fan of just point and shoot and the RX1 since the beginning. Yay, great for you fanboys. Spend the money, have a good time. You know, I like point and shoot cameras. Sometimes I get it. You just want to pull out a camera and snap a picture. I get that. You know what I'm saying? That's where point and shoot cameras really, really shine. But $5,000 $5,100? I'm gonna go over a few things that I just think is just crazy. Extremely high price for a fixed lens camera. The RX1R is being priced at $5,088, $89. But again, just for the sake of argument, we're just gonna say $5,100, which is more expensive than my full frame right here, A7R V body, which basically launched at like $38.99. For that price, for $5,100, you're locked into a 35mm f2 lens. Now, that's great for some, but it's extremely limiting for a whole lot of others. Like, I can't see the reason why I would even consider this camera, especially depending on what you are looking to do with your photography and any type of long-term goals, any type of expansion, and any additions, interchanges, anything like that. My first question would be, what are you trying to do in your photography that would make you want to spend $5,100 on a fixed lens camera? Now, I will play the good guy for a minute, okay? If you are a photographer who does street photography, you know, or, you know, you go around, you're taking pictures and you're submitting those pictures and people are paying you for the pictures that you take. This is your job. This is what you do. This is what you're known for. Then this might not be a bad option for you. You know, it might be a great option for you. But if you're a hobbyist and you ain't getting no money back, and this is just something just to throw in your bag, just to have it, just to say that you have it, I think it's a whole lot of money. It's not even a little money. We're not talking about $1,000. We're not talking about $2,000 for a point and shoot camera. We're not talking about $3,000 for a point and shoot camera. We are talking about $5,000 for a fixed lens camera. I absolutely don't think there is nothing about this camera that screams $5,100 at all. My A7R V, you can get this camera right now for around, even used, $3,400, $3,300. Absolute beast. I can add a 35mm 1.2. I can add a 50 1.2. I can add an 85 1.4. I can add over 3 lenses to this camera to kind of equal the amount of that camera. Better options, better versatility, better everything. Now, what's the only difference? That is, you people are gonna say, well, it's not as portable. Well, I don't want to have to deal with, you know, interchanging lenses. You can just keep one lens on there. But in the future, it's future-proof, because once you actually start to learn photography, and once you get into lighting, and once you get into a lot of other things, you might get tired of just shooting at 35mm f2 for the rest of your life. It might be something that you could throw in your bag for right now in the meantime, but I don't like limits. I don't like limiting myself to anything, and I don't know a situation where I would ever just have this point and shoot camera in my bag and pull it out and shoot. When I have this camera, I can put a 28mm on it. It's going to make it almost just as small as compact, but it's not going to make a difference. But in the future, I have this camera to do a whole lot of other things with, and I don't understand the fact of restricting myself to a point and shoot camera that costs $5,000. That is absolutely insane. But let's go ahead and get back to some of the other. It has the same sensor, same exact sensor as my A7R V. That's what we call a recycle sensor. Take it out, put it something else. This sensor is also in the A7CR. It's also in the A7R IV. In the RX1R Mark III, it has the same contrast detection autofocus points, 693 autofocus points, the same as the A7R V. It has the same Bions XR processor as the A7R V. It has the same AI real-time tracking software as the A7R V. It has no in-body stabilization. I think it has digital, no in-body stabilization. The A7R V has 8 stops. IBIS. Everybody, that was one of the big things why we loved the A7R V when it came out. 8 stops of that IBIS. Oh my God. The RX1R Mark III, no 4K 60, no 8K, none of that. This camera does 4K 30, 4K 60, 8K. So in this situation, who really has the best value here? What exactly are you gaining from spending $5,100 on this point and shoot camera with a fixed lens that costs $5,100 over the A7R V, which has the exact same guts, pretty much, almost, as that one, with way more upside, future-proof, and everything else? So you mean to tell me you're going to pay an extra, let's just say the A7R V costs $3,500, right? Because the camera is nowhere near better than the A7R V. So you're spending an extra $1,500 on what? Convenience and portability? For a point and shoot camera with restrictions. Somebody please, in the comments, help me make that make sense. Okay, we talk about this being 2 different types of markets, right? Point and shoot, interchangeable lens, right? I get that. I get the whole premise of that, right? But when you price a point and shoot camera at that type of price, high-end premium point and shoot camera, that's not what Sony is about. It's like they want to insert themselves in every aspect of the market to compete in every aspect, no matter what it is. They got a point and shoot, we got a point and shoot. Well, now people are gonna say, well, what about Leica? Well, that's what Leica is known for. Leica is not trying to be out here to compete with Sony and Sony's interchangeable lenses and Sony's autofocus and Sony's this and that. Leica's not out here trying to do that. They are basically the king of point and shoot cameras. Premium, high-end point and shoot cameras. That's what they are for. That's what they are known for. That is their bread and butter. That is their niche. Leica got their own thing. So people are gonna say, well, what about Leica? Well, the Leica Q3, everybody knows about it. Absolutely fantastic point and shoot camera. All right, you wanna talk about a few specs on the Leica Q3? So I think right now that thing is still over $6,600. 60 megapixel camera, if I'm not mistaken, full frame BSI sensor. I think it has a 28mm 1.7 lens on it. That camera shoots 8K 30. It shoots 4K 60, 10-bit 422. It has some crazy things. It has a better screen on it, 5.76 milli dot OLED electronic viewfinder. It has now the tilt screen I think is a little bit lower, but that thing is absolutely bonkers for a point and shoot camera. So, you know, if I'm going for a point and shoot camera, I'm gonna go to somebody who's been doing it. Somebody that I know, you know, that's their niche, that's their bread and butter. I just can't see, like, I know where this camera fits in, right? I know it fits into that high premium, you know, point and shoot market, and I know that's another area where they're trying to capitalize on. But when you already have a camera that you're basically just recycling parts from, put it in another camera, call it, you know, it is what it is, you know, to get in that market. It's like, hey, I know how to get us in that point and shoot market. Let's just take everything from this camera, put it in that camera, and then we got a point and shoot camera. Yay! Like, I just don't get it. I would never spend that type of money for it. Now I can see if it was like $25, you know, $3,000, something like that, with a fixed lens, and, you know, change a few things to make it more affordable and everything. But if that's not their focus. They want a high-end premium point and shoot camera. That's great. I could not see anybody really spending that type of money for that. Is if you're a Sony shooter, I don't know, man. I personally just think it's a waste of money. I think it's a waste of resources, and Sony has continued to with this snowball effect. Same with the FX2 getting that same 33 megapixel sensor. Like, the practice and what they're doing to just continue to take guts from everything else and just throw it in somewhere and just call it a new camera. Same with the A1 Mark II. You take the A1, you take the A7R V, you put it together. Hey, there's your new camera, A1 Mark II. Everybody, yay! You take the A7 IV, you take this, A7 C2, you put them together, throw them in there. Now you got an FX2. Yay! You take the A7R V, you know, take a few things out, you throw it in the RX1R Mark III. Now you got a new point and shoot camera. Yay! Like, bro, like, does anybody see the pattern here yet? I'm still praying. They really need to put their time, energy, and effort into giving us a new video camera. That's what everybody's waiting on, because we are way behind the power curve while everybody else is coming out with these cameras that have all these resolutions, open gate, and everything else. Like, we are waiting for a monumental video camera, man. So hopefully we'll get it soon, but yeah, I think this is just, I mean, honestly, I think this is a waste of resources. I think the FX2 was a waste, but you guys take it to the comment section. Let's have a conversation, man. Tell me what you guys think about this RX1R Mark III. Will you be getting it? Are you saying hell to the no? Are you saying hell to the yes? Are you a RX1 fanboy who just has to have it? Are you a hobbyist? Are you a professional photographer who actually uses these point and shoot cameras to go out and capture the scenes, capture, you know, real-time images? And, you know, are you making this money back, or are you just, you know, want something to pull out your pocket and just shoot? Like, what is it? Can somebody explain this to me? Like, I don't know, man. I ain't got time. But I like having these conversations because I told y'all I'm going to be dropping a lot more videos, man, and I'm going to hit it when it comes out. All right. Until next time, man, this is your boy Brandon, aka the Kevin Hart Photography, and I will see you in the next video. I holla.